Renee Kuhlman, Director of Special Projects, National Trust for Historic Preservation. I work and help advocates who are working to protect, gain, or improve a preservation program for their state. And typically I work in two different areas. I work on state historic preservation tax credits, of which Kentucky has a great one, and I also work on protecting older and historic schools. There are currently 30 states that have tax incentives for historic preservation tax credit programs. These tax credits are actually awarding credits if a project has undergone a rehabilitation to meet a certain number of standards. So it has to be a certified rehabilitation on a certified historic building. The number of states that are uncapped, there are a handful of those where there is no limitation on the amount of credit. It seems to me, based on what I track nationally, that Kentucky has made some great strides in terms of the preservation programs that they've been able to put in place. You all have a state tax credit for rehabilitating older certified historic properties. There are some states that do not have that type of incentive. You all actually have a wonderful 30-year-old Main Street program. There are some states that are trying to put that type of program in place to actually encourage the revitalization of their smaller downtowns. So I would say that Kentucky is doing really well, and there's always room for improvement. There are some states where they have state tax credits that are working more effectively than the one that you all have here in place in Kentucky. Kentucky actually has a $5 million cap on how much credits are available, and this makes it a very difficult process for developers, property owners, people who want to revitalize their downtowns, because the cap makes it a very uncertain process in terms of, if you do the work, you're not sure if you're going to get the credit. So for every dollar that the state invests in rehabilitating these historic buildings, they get about a $3 to $4 return. In states where there is no cap, the return is higher. In some instances as high as $5, $6, even $7 on the return. For every dollar spent, you would be getting $7 back. So there is a big increase in the number of return on investment for the state to have an uncapped credit. It also leverages more federal investment. So there's actually a federal rehabilitation tax credit. It's a 20% credit. So when you have a cap, you're not sure in Kentucky if you're going to be able to get, what percentage of credit you're going to be able to get. So the ability of having an uncapped credit means that you're leveraging more of the federal money coming in. So if you improve your state tax credit, you'll get more federal dollars into the state. States are in an economic crisis. Legislators are looking for every possible way that they can to save money. And they're looking at the efficiencies of current programs, and even those programs that we know, such as preservation, that are job creators, are on the chopping block today. So people have to be strong advocates for what they believe in. They need to be able to articulate why this program is important to them and why their legislators should continue funding it. We also believe that our public lands are very important, and there are a lot of historic resources on those public lands, and we're trying to ensure that the federal agencies that have responsibilities for maintaining those properties actually have the resources in order to maintain them. I think in some ways Kentucky has been the leader in preservation policy. I think the work on context-sensitive design has been a leader in the country. I think having a state tax credit in place that incentivizes the revitalization of communities, whether they're rural, whether they're urban, has been tremendous. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think that there are some innovative things that are happening elsewhere in the country that I would hope that Kentuckians would look at and be encouraged to adopt here in this state.